So tonight we are going to talk about the various down payment assistance programs that are available. Some of them are across Massachusetts, some focus more on Eastern Massachusetts to help you guys prepare for home ownership. I know the market is a little bit crazy out there, but it is still possible for you to become a homeowner. And if saving has been difficult because, rent's high, sales prices are high. The presenters we have tonight are going to help you make it a little bit more accessible. So we're going to talk about the different programs, the benefits and the drawbacks to each of them, what is the eligibility requirement for these programs, and then some of the application processes and timelines. We encourage you to ask any of your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure to get to them. Okay. So my name is Denisha McDonald. I am the Executive Director of Financial Education Associates. We are a HUD housing counseling agency, and our mission is to really bring and provide unbiased homebuyer education to Massachusetts residents. We want to help you guys get to home ownership, so make sure you have those keys. You are homeowners, and make sure that you're managing your finances properly. A lot of times people purchase and they end up being house poor because now it was a little bit over their budget. We want to make sure that you are purchasing a home that you can afford, so that you can still enjoy life while being a homeowner. Okay. We've served over 20,000 people since its inception in 2001. We have 100% virtual classes. So all of our classes are online, unless a provider requests us to come in person. And for those of you who may work night shifts or you're unable to attend our sessions, which are usually during the week from 6:30 to 8:30 at night or on Saturdays, we also have classes that are self-paced and on demand online. So if you are awake at 3 a.m. and you prefer to take your class that way, that's an option as well. So we encourage you. We have everything, something for everyone, no matter your learning style. So what is the timeline for home ownership? There are four things. We kind of broke it down into four segments. First is to make sure that you know the facts. So we want you to take your first-time homebuyers class. If you have not done so yet, we encourage you to register for a class. I'll share a link at the end with our next round of sessions coming up in June. Next, you want to know your numbers, right? So it's one thing to say, I want to buy a house. It's another thing to make sure your finances are where they need to be so that you can purchase a house, right? Next, you want to build your team. So having your agent, having your loan officer, your inspector, your attorney, who are all the people that need to be on your team, make sure that you're building the right team. You're the captain of the ship, but you need to make sure you have the right crew on deck, right? And then lastly, you want to execute and actually find the home and purchase the home. What we're focused on tonight is really the first two. And what we tend to focus on at Financial Education Associates is the first two. So making sure that you understand what the process is and what it entails, and making sure you understand your numbers to make it accessible and achievable for you to become a homeowner. Okay. Tonight, we're going to have the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston presenting, MassHousing, and then the City of Boston. And then we'll go over some programs across various towns in Massachusetts. So first, I'm going to have Ms. Caitlin Mulhern from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston coming to present to us tonight on all that they have to offer.
Thank you so much, Denisha. I apologize, my camera's not working, but thank you for the opportunity. And hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. All right. So I'm Caitlin Mulhern, and I'm with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston. So we offer down payment assistance throughout all of New England. And just to give people a bit of a background about what the Federal Home Loan Bank does is we're a wholesale bank. So we work with banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions throughout New England. We are dual mission. We provide liquidity because we're a wholesale lender. But then we also have our second, which is the most critical part of our mission, is taking a certain amount of our earnings and putting it toward down payment assistance, which includes affordable housing programs. So just to give you a background, because I know that there's a lot of different down payment programs that can be offered, and we're not provided money from the government. So we have three programs. We call this our suite. of homeownership assistance programs, and it is providing down payment and closing cost assistance. And I'll get into those eligible grant uses in the next slide. But the Equity Builder program is our down payment and closing cost assistance program for households that are at the low to moderate incomes, and those are at or below 80% of the area median income. To give you an idea, because every year our grant amounts might fluctuate, but for this year, the Equity Builder program grant amount is a little over $30,000. And that's our oldest program that started in 2003. And the Housing Our Workforce is another program that is for that missing middle, and that is slightly above the 80% and up to 120% of the area median income. And some of our constituents might talk about that today, but all of these programs are kind of sliced and diced a little different, but we look at everybody who lives in the household and all income sources. And then the final program, which we started last year, is a pilot program. So it's a new program, and that is Lift Up Homeownership. So it operates similar to the Equity Builder program, or EBP for short, and the Housing Our Workforce is an acronym. And that is for incomes at or below 120%. But this is specifically assisting people of color. So this is a race-based, people-based program. Procedurally operates and emulates the same. And just to go back to the HOW program, and I do apologize. So for the HOW program this year, so that grant amount is $25,000 or 10% of the sales price, and that's the lesser of the two. And then the LUH program, because the premise of this program is to bridge the gap of homeownership, the racial gap, which obviously contributes to a wealth gap, if you will, because a lot of people, their equity is in owning their own home. This program is for $50,000. So just to give you an idea that a lot of our institutions do offer all three of the programs, and the goal is really to serve a multitude of populations throughout New England. So eligible grant uses, as I mentioned, is for down payment, as well as closing cost assistance. And I think in this high interest rate environment, as well as this challenging housing market, we define closing costs as anything that's associated with that first mortgage transaction. It's nothing involving the buyer and seller realtor transaction, but for the mortgage. But that does include prepaids and escrows, and then interest rate buy down, which is a way to be able to reduce your interest rate and lowering your monthly mortgage payment. I think especially in this environment with high interest rates, that's super important to note that there is buying power to be able to use these programs for this purpose. And you can slice and dice it in a multitude of ways. And we recommend consulting your lender when you're doing your first mortgage financing, because it's not a one size fits all. So back to Denisha's point is, really just getting that education and understanding of what works for you specifically. It does have to be a property within New England, and it is a primary residence. We do permit 1 to 4 family homes. That does include townhouses, condominiums. They can be a multifamily conversion. They can be a large high rise that's more than 4 units, cooperatives, and manufactured housing. I think the one thing I want to point out is that our programs are income based, but when we're working with our approved banks and credit unions, they are able to use our programs to leverage maybe some other down payment assistance programs that are being offered in the state of Massachusetts, maybe being able to qualify home buyers in the financing at time of offer or purchase. You do have to have a fully executed purchase and sales agreement, But this is a way to really increase the affordability and then also layer it with other programs that are going to be talked about in today's session. The good thing about our programs is all three, the EBP, the How, and Lift Up, these are grants, they're not loans, so they are forgivable. There's a 5-year retention period. If a homeowner, once they receive one of our grants, decides that they want to refinance, whether it's just a typical rate and term, if they want to do a cash out or obtain a home equity line of credit, they can move our lien on the property into a different position, which is a subordination. We also see us stacked with other programs today. I know that Angela is going to be talking about MassHousing in particular. The city of Boston also has programs, and there's just other municipalities in New England that have a lot to offer. And for us, we're very flexible. Sometimes we're in fourth position. So really just educating yourself, I think, would be the key takeaway that I want you to gather today about our programs. Some misconceptions perhaps about down payment assistance is that a borrower can't refinance. As I mentioned, that's false for our programs. We do promote the equity within the home, and this is really just setting a homeowner up for success because, a lot of people's wealth is within their home. So we're looking to promote that. And if for some reason during the 5-year period of when we have a lien on a property, somebody wants to sell, they are able to. They would never essentially have to pay back the full grant. But for every day that they've lived in the home, we use that as a calculation to reduce the money because essentially we want to promote that wealth and we don't want to take the money back. And then some other misconceptions is that because we have income eligibility restrictions, is that it has to be an affordable unit. It can be, it cannot be. And something to note too is that in Massachusetts, there are Section 8 voucher programs that are complementary and can be paired with our programs. So that's also something to educate yourself if you are a current renter and you're in a rent to home ownership Section 8 with your local housing authority, you can pair this with our programs. And like I said, the goal is really just to educate yourself and increase that affordability and really just stack and layer as many products that are out there. And Massachusetts really does run the gamut out of New England. As I mentioned, we're all of New England. So knowing that Massachusetts really does have a lot to offer is really just kind of reaching out and knowing that our programs only complement what exists. And I did share this with Tanisha, but you can use this QR code that I have here, and it will bring you to a virtual flyer. It is specifically for home buyers, and it will give you a breakdown of all three of our programs, the list of approved member financial institutions at the Federal Home Loan Bank that offer them. So for 2024, if you click this hyperlink, you'll have our Equity Builder program members, you'll have our housing, our workforce members, and then stay tuned, our Lift Up Home Ownership members will be posted roughly from now until May 10th, just because every year these institutions have to apply to offer these programs. But traditionally, I will say majority of them offer all three of these suites. And then, like I said, this QR code does bring you to a breakdown of all three of these programs, but also some frequently asked questions. And it really just kind of gives you those tips and tricks of how do you be able to do your journey and your research about successful home ownership. And that is all I have.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
It's great. So guys, there is money out there. One of the questions in the chat, when would these programs be implemented in the home buying process? Is it factored into your pre-approval?
Great question. So it really all depends on the lender and comfortability. We do see a split, if you will, of lenders that might factor it into the offer in the deal to be able to protect the home buyer of their deposit. It really is all dependent on what you're working with, what's your qualifying mortgage, but then also to be realistic as well, because our grant money is throughout New England. It is on a first come, first served basis. So the funds are not ever guaranteed. And as I mentioned before, our money is not money that we receive from the government. It's based on a certain percentage of our earnings. And I will say, since I've been at the Federal Home Loan Bank since 2018, we have contributed well more than what we're required to by the Federal Housing Finance Agency. So it really just all depends on a case by case basis, but we do see it both ways. But that's a wonderful question and things that you should have conversations with your lender when you're going to that first mortgage, where we're dealing directly with that bank or credit union and not the home buyer.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. Any other questions?
Absolutely.
I will add to that. I think it is safer, thinking from a strategic standpoint, that you probably not factor this in when you're getting your pre-approval, because it is a first come, first served basis. So you don't want this to be something that you need and then the funds aren't available at that time because you have to find the house first and go through have an accepted offer. But it would be something where, to lower your monthly housing costs, so you have your offer, you're going to close on the house, this would significantly lower what that monthly payment would look like for you. So just taking that. Any other questions, guys? So we have the Equity Builder program. That's for those earning at or below 80% of area median income. Is that for, when does the AMI count? Is it based on the city that you're purchasing in or the city that you live in?
Great question. So it's all three of our programs are based on the location that's being purchased. Okay. And this is something that, because we're wholesale, we always recommend that buyers, it's great to do your research and have these resources, but going to an approved lender, because our income is different than qualifying. So if you have one borrower that's getting the first mortgage, but maybe there is a household of four and there is two W-2 wage earners and two children, we consider that as a household of four, and we include both adult incomes. So just making sure that you're looking and comparing, because a lot of these programs that are out there in Massachusetts, they might vary.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions, guys? So we have Equity Builder, that's at below 80%. The HOW program is between 80 and 100% AMI, and that's
120.
120% AMI and up to $25,000.
Yes,
is
correct.
At 25,000, or is it up to?
So it's up to, the HOW program's up to 25%, and then it's the lesser of the two. So it's either 25,000 or 10% of the purchase price. And traditionally in Boston, especially if you're buying a single family, and depending on what town or city, majority of our Massachusetts buyers are getting that full 25. And then and just to go back, so the EBP is a little over 30,000, and then the LUH is 50,000.
And those are just, it's 30,000 or 50, not up to.
They're maxed out at those amounts, but if for some reason somebody also, was layering other programs or products, we just tell the home buyer and the lender to have those conversations, because you can't recoup any of your deposit at time of purchase and sales, and they can't get more than $250 cash back.
Okay, that works. Okay, I think that is everything that I have here. And you said you guys assist all of New England. So it's not limited to Massachusetts. So if someone were purchasing in another state, they could utilize this program as well.
Correct. Yes. It's for primary purchases, and that can be 1 to 4 families.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
No other questions, guys? This is your chance. You can raise your hand and I can unmute you if you would like, or you can put your question in the chat. Give you 1 more minute to see if you guys have questions. So far tonight, we have found $30,000 if you make less than 80% AMI. If you make between 80 and 120%, we found up to $25,000 for you. And then if you make, if you are a person of color and you make less than 120% AMI, there is $50,000 set aside as well. And we will share the handout. I do have the one that you're talking about with the QR code, so I will share that with
Yeah.
for the event as well.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I recommend reading it. It gives you a lot of information from start to finish about what is the process, what's, tips and tricks to be able to work through any of these programs. And then also if you do receive one of our grants, how do you move forward throughout being a homeowner? So I hope that information serves everyone well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And guys, this is something where you would not reach out to the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston. Your lender would be the one who's connecting with them, but we're making you aware of it so that, you can ask if there's funding available when you meet with your lender, with your loan officer. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Next, we will have Mr. Angelo Newby from MassHousing coming to talk about their various programs that they have to offer and their down payment assistance program as well. And you should be okay, Angelo.
Okay. Okay, all right. Let me see if I'm. And can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you again for inviting me here tonight. I'm going to take the next 20 minutes or so and take you through MassHousing's programs, primarily for first-time home buyers, but we do have programs that kind of stretch across a very, very wide menu so that not only can we take care of first-time home buyers, but we can take care of someone who is selling a home and buying up. But we're going to primarily focus on some of the programs that have been updated just in the last month or two. So MassHousing is a quasi-public agency, and as such, we don't use taxpayer money. We are a self-sustaining agency, but you cannot come directly to us. You have to work with one of our 90+ lenders. These are banks, mortgage companies, and credit unions. These institutions actually have loan officers, the professionals that will sit down with you and take your application, take you through the mortgage process, close the loan utilizing MassHousing's program, and in some cases, in conjunction with Federal Home Loan Bank or the City of Boston, or may incorporate other programs that are also out there available to you. We're going to talk about down payment assistance. We're going to talk a little bit about mortgage payment protection, and we're going to talk a little bit about interest rates, because I know that when we start talking about purchasing a home, the first thing is, well, do I have enough money to purchase a home? Caitlin mentioned the myths about some of the myths of purchasing a home. One of those myths is that you need 20% to purchase a home, and you don't. You do need to qualify. So of course the mortgage is based on your income or the family's income. You do need to occupy the property. We do not make loans to individuals who are looking to build a portfolio. But we know that down payment assistance is probably one of the most difficult challenges in purchasing a home. So what we've done at MassHousing is let me see if I can, there we go. And what we've done at MassHousing is we've allowed our down payment assistance to be used in conjunction with other resources that are out there. And you just heard from Caitlin, and one of the examples that I use when I'm doing these presentations is think about the Equity Builder. But it's not just the Equity Builder. There are three programs incorporated within the Equity Builder, but there are many other opportunities out there for you to utilize resources and combine those resources, layer those resources so that we minimize your mortgage payment. We want to keep your mortgage as low as possible because that's going to make a more stable housing purchase and a more stable environment for you and for your family. And we have multiple options that are all based on income, from a low of 80% or less of area median income, all the way up to 135% of area median income. So we got a very, very, very wide berth of programs that are income-based, and again, based on where you're going to buy, not currently where you're residing, but based on where you are going to buy. And then there's the mortgage insurance, the MI Plus. And when we talk about mortgage insurance and the MI Plus, we're talking about the opportunity to, there we go. I just want to get rid of this bar up there. Oh, there we go. There we go. So we want to talk about the opportunity to purchase a home and not think about what's going to happen if you lose your job. And so what we have with MassHousing is an opportunity to utilize our MI Plus, which is mortgage insurance. And mortgage insurance came about many, many years ago when many of your grandparents or many of your parents maybe weren't able to buy a home without putting down 20%. So the mortgage insurance company came up with a program and said, hey, listen, we will take on some of the risk and we will remove some of the risk away from the prospective buyer so that you can put down less than 20%. And what we will do as the insurer is we will insure the difference up to 20%. Well, that benefits the lender if for whatever reason you don't make your payment. But with MassHousing, there is a benefit directly to you, the buyer of the home, the purchaser of the home. If you utilize a MassHousing loan and you lose your job and you're able to collect unemployment, MassHousing will pay up to $2,000 a month, principal and interest, and we'll do it for 6 months. So there's $12,000 of resources that are made available from you to the mortgage company, MassHousing. And ultimately, it will allow you to stay in your home. And remember, we're all about stability. We're all about giving you opportunities for you to choose the type of program that's best for you and for your family. And with the addition of the MI Plus, it removes a little bit of that stress, a little bit of that obstacle of the possibility of you losing your job and then losing your home. And interest rates. You know, we talk about interest rates. We know interest rates are high now. We know what interest rates were just a few years ago. I have 3 sons. 2 of them purchased 3 years ago. 1 purchased last year. Big difference in interest rates. Big difference in interest rates. My first home was purchased in 1983. It was a condo. So I know it sounds like, you know, for many of you who weren't even born, but it sounds like a long time ago. But I want to give you some perspective. My interest rate as a first-time home buyer in 1983 was 13.5%. And I was ecstatic with the 13.5% because everyone else around me was paying between 15.5% and 18.5%. So yes, the mortgage was lower, but I was still paying 13.5%. And there were other people who were paying up to 18.5%, and some who were paying in the 20s. So think about it. And think about the opportunity to take your rental payment, take that rent payment, and transition from a rent payment to a mortgage payment. Can we take that rent payment that may be $1,800, $2,000, $2,400 and move it to a mortgage payment, which may be just a few dollars more? Maybe it's $100 more or $200 more. But can we take that rental payment and turn it into a mortgage payment? Regardless of what the interest rate is. Does it make sense for you? Does it make sense for you and your family? So now we're going to jump into the products. And the first product is called Workforce Advantage. This is our Tier 1 program for individuals and families who are at 80% or less of area median income. Now, you do have to be a first-time home buyer. The mortgage insurance that I was just mentioning a moment ago, 100% of the cost of that mortgage insurance is covered by MassHousing. So there's no cost for that MI Plus, for that security blanket that you have. And with MassHousing, we have no asset test. There is no asset test with MassHousing. So if you've worked hard, multiple jobs, possibility of an inheritance, and you've saved and you've got cash in the bank, that's okay with MassHousing. If you can use our down payment assistance and you don't have to touch the cash in the bank. But if you have more than what some programs will allow, then you can still come to MassHousing and use MassHousing because we have no asset test. Eligible properties, single families, condominiums, and we say condominiums, we mean condominiums and townhomes, 2s, 3s, and 4s. Now, if you're buying a multifamily, you have to, there are multiple levels of certified homebuyer classes that you have to take. And if you're purchasing a multifamily, you have to take a second level of homebuyer class. And actually, Financial Education Associates is one of the premier online participants and educators when it comes to landlord training. We want you to be prepared because you are not just purchasing a home, you are buying a business. And even though you may be renting to a family member, it is still a business and you have to treat it that way and you have to be prepared, and we want you to be prepared. And for any of you who are out there in the audience or may have someone that you know who is either currently or formerly in the military, Coast Guard, National Guard, or a reservist, there's an additional $2,500 in closing costs credit that we offer directly from MassHousing. This is not for first responders, not unless you were a first responder and you were in the military at one point. This is for current or former military members. And so here we get down into the nitty-gritty of the program. I mentioned earlier, it's 80% or less of area median income, $30,000, but this is a loan. So it's different than what you were seeing with Federal Home Loan Bank. This is a loan. It's a second mortgage, but it's $30,000 and it can be used in any community across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, statewide. You can go anywhere and use this program. And that's a change. 2 months ago, it had to be used in certain neighborhoods. Now you can go anywhere. Zero interest deferred. So what that means is that there's no monthly payment. So usually when you think of, oh, well, I'm going to take out a loan, I'm going to have a payment. So that's going to have some effect on my debt to income, on my ability to have a larger mortgage, but not with this particular program. If you qualify for this program, there is zero interest and it is deferred. And the payment is deferred, meaning that you don't pay us back until you either sell the property, refinance the loan, or pay off the loan. It takes you 30 years to pay off the loan, that's when you pay us back. If you refinance or you sell the property, you do have to pay us back at that time. So zero interest deferred does not affect your DTI, your debt to income, which in essence gives you more buying power. So our incomes, they just changed. And there was some areas where the income levels went up. There was some that there was a slight change and they went down. But I just want to give you a little bit of a feel for an example of what the income levels may be. Now, I know, many of you, FEA is out of Boston. Many of you may be out of Boston. Some of you may be out of another community. But I wanted to have you take a look at Suffolk County. And this program, this Tier 1 program, our Workforce Advantage, is the only program that we offer where we look at the household size. It's the only program we offer where we look at household size. So as an example, we have Suffolk County at $82,950 per person. If you are a family of 4, it's a little over $118,000. Now, if your parents are living with you, the grandparents, your parents, and they're receiving Social Security, that's all rolled into the pot when it comes to this particular program. But it's only this program that we look at household size, household income. Then we move on to the second tier program, our tier 2 program, which is the first time home buyer program. Again, for first time home buyers, income limits are a little bit higher now. Now we're moving into that 110, 120% of area median income. Eligible properties, single families, 2s, 3s, 4s, condominiums, and townhomes. $2,500 is still available. And one thing that you might notice here is on one of the last bullet points where we say you must use a MassHousing lender for both loans. MassHousing has a little over 100 lenders that we work with. But I can tell you a couple of local banks, a few local banks that don't work with MassHousing because they choose not to, but that's okay. But so if you went into Bank of America or Citizens or TD Bank and asked for a MassHousing loan, you can't get it because they don't do business with us. So if you can't get a first mortgage with one of those lending institutions, you cannot get our down payment assistance. So you have to work with a lender, mortgage company, bank, credit union that offers both our 30-year fixed rate mortgage and offers our second mortgages, our down payment assistance. So we're looking on a higher income level now for our first time home buyer program. And this is a lot of information, even just so far. And that's why we work with professional loan officers. You're going to build your team. You're going to have a loan officer who is going to sit down with you, and they're going to take you through the detail of these programs. You're never going to learn about the detail of these programs in 20 minutes. But a loan officer will take you through the details and will determine which of these programs you qualify. So the second program is the first time home buyer. $25,000 is available for down payment assistance. Because we're dealing with the higher income levels here, we do charge an actual interest rate, 2%, amortized over 15 years. So if you qualify for the full $25,000 under this program, your monthly payment, because there is going to be a monthly payment right away, will be approximately $160,000. And then if you look towards your right here for Suffolk County, you will see that the income levels have jumped significantly. And here with these programs, we are not looking at household size. We're only looking at the individual or individuals who will be on the mortgage. So if you have two people and one person can qualify on his or her own, then we only can be concerned with that person as long as he or she can qualify on their own. And at the city of Boston now, we're looking at $163,700 from an income perspective. So relatively high, but I know, there are a lot of folks out there that have really good jobs, or maybe there's multiple incomes within the home, but you can work around it. A good loan officer can sit down with you and determine the best way to approach which loan is going to be best for you and for your family. And then we move into the highest level mortgage program, 135% of area median income. So down payment assistance is still available even at this higher level of income. But because we're dealing with the highest level of income at 135% of area median, it's $25,000, 2%. And if you look at Suffolk County, we're talking about $190,000. But you do have to buy in a gateway community. Now, the city of Boston and all of its boroughs are considered part of the gateway community. So whether you're buying in Dorchester, West Roxbury, Charlestown, the West End, the South End, South Boston, Dorchester, Mattapan, they're all part of Boston. And then there are 28 other communities across the state. And this is a map to show you those other 20 plus communities. If you buy in one of these communities, the resources are available to you. So now we go into the federal administration. So FHA loans, many of you may have heard FHA, heard of the FHA, and you hear people talk about them. The FHA loans are federally subsidized mortgages. And so, and as such, people who generally use FHA loans have had some type of challenge in the past. Maybe it's been a foreclosure, maybe it's been a divorce, maybe it's been a bankruptcy. And because in the past, FHA loans have been very flexible when it comes to credit scores, people tend to gravitate towards them. I will have to tell you, though, that we offer FHA loans, but we offer FHA loans that are a little bit different than what you might find out in the marketplace. And that's because we use one credit score for all of our mortgages. We have one credit score for all of our mortgages, which is a 640, 640. Whereas if you were to go to a non-mass housing, if you go to just any lender that offered FHA, they may be able to say, hey, you know what? We can do an FH loan and we'll give you a loan even if your credit score is a 560, 580. We will not do that. We are not doing you any favors if we make a loan to you and your credit score is a 580 or a 560. To be honest with you, you have some challenges and you need to improve your credit score. That's a worst case scenario to put someone into a position where they're going to fail. And if your credit score is down in the 500s, you're probably going to fail. So we're not going to put you in that position. But it is an option. It is an option. And as such, what we do is we allow you to use down payment assistance with our FHA loans if you qualify. So all of the benefits that I mentioned earlier, except for one, and that one is that we cannot cover your mortgage insurance because this is a subsidized loan based on the government. But all the other benefits that come along with it, we can cover. All of these other FHAs, the 25,000, the income levels at the higher level, we can take care of those. I won't go over those again because they're the same as what I covered initially. But these are options that you have with MassHousing. And then we move into getting started. How do you get started? Well, you get started by learning as much as you can about the programs that are out there. Educate yourself. Speak to the professionals. This is what you want to do. You want to put yourself in a position where you know what that person across from you is selling you, because that's what they're doing, is they're selling you. Go to masshousing.com. You can take a look at what MassHousing has to offer. We offer, our website is in 4 different languages: English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Mandarin Chinese. If you go there and you're looking for lenders and you're thinking, well, what lender am I going to use? I have a trusted advisor that I know who's talked about, or I have a friend or a family member who has worked with a particular lender. Well, you can go to our website and you can determine whether or not that lender that a friend or family member has worked with is a MassHousing lender. Now, you do have to take a certified first-time homebuyer class in order to access any of these programs, whether it's Federal Home Loan Bank, whether it's MassHousing, whether it's the One Loan, whether it's the City of Boston money. You have to take a certified first-time homebuyer class. And then if you're not ready to buy, you have the option of staying in touch with us. The changes that are taking place, where are the interest rates going, where's the market going, a housing price is going down, a housing price is going up. We have a newsletter. We do not share your information. We're a quasi-public agency, but it's a way for you to stay in touch so that you kind of have an idea of what's going on out there in the public, in the real world. And then after you have purchased your home, and many of you may purchase an older home. I have one of my sons purchased a home that's 120 years old. Been updated, but still he's got some challenges with it. Or maybe you purchased a home that has lead paint. Well, MassHousing manages the lead paint program for the state. So there's the opportunity or option of coming back to us if you discover that you have lead paint. Or maybe your septic system fails the Title V and you need assistance there. Or maybe you just want to update and make some changes to your property. You can always come back to MassHousing. And then something new for us is the Mass Community Climate Bank. And after you are in your home, or if you know someone who owns a home and they're looking to upgrade their home, they're looking to try and cut the cost of energy to move away from fossil fuels. MassHousing just announced with the governor just a week ago, the Mass Community Climate Bank, which has options and programs available to help current homeowners upgrade their homes to make them more efficient. QR code, that's the new thing. So you can take a photograph of this. It'll take you to masshousing.com. where you can go through and scroll through all the programs that are available through MassHousing. And then if you still have questions, after you reviewed all of this information, all of this documentation, then you can reach out to us. We have individuals, professionals who have been in the business for many years. You can call us. You can call us during the day from 9 to 5 and speak to us on the 888 number, or you can email us at homeownership@masshousing.com. We will answer your emails, usually within 24, 48 hours. But this is an opportunity for you to answer or ask questions and get answers before you take the next step, before you sit down with the loan officer, before you reach out to that agent or that realtor to make an offer on a home. We want you to be prepared. We want you to be aware of all of these programs that are available around the state. We want you to use as much grant money as possible, and then after you've attached and grabbed a hold of as much grant money as you possibly can, what other down payments can you hold on to in order to lower that mortgage payment and minimize the cost on a monthly basis? And then thank you. You can reach us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, YouTube. We love answering questions for you. We love to get engaged with the nonprofits that are out there like FEA, who are doing the certified first-time homebuyer classes and workshops to make consumers more aware of programs that are available. So thank you again. I am going to stop sharing at this time and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a lot of helpful information. Let's see here. Oh, everyone's just saying thank you. So great job. I have two questions for you.
Sure.
Who else has questions? So for the down payment program, do you need to have a minimum down payment? Do I need to have a minimum of myself with my own funds before I access your $25,000 or $30,000?
No, that's a great question. So with MassHousing, other than if you're buying a multifamily, you have to have 5% down, and of that 5%, 3% has to be your own funds. If you are buying a single family or a condominium or townhouse, you can actually put down 0%. Most programs that are out there, though, require you to have at least 1.5% of your own funds. But you can use all of our money if you want. If you've already put down a down payment and then you qualify for MassHousing's money, you can actually get your down payment back and just use our funds. And you can also use our funds if you're purchasing a deed restricted property, also known as a 40B or a lottery property.
So I hope you guys just heard that. You can actually purchase with zero money down, as in if you have to put something down to submit your offer and secure the home, you get that back at closing, which is amazing. And I helped a client who was able to do that. They got a check back at closing for their down payment fund. So thank you. And then what is the difference, if there is a difference in your interest rate, so compared to the market rate?
Right. So we are never going to be as low as the market rate. And so if you were to go out, Lending Tree, Rocket Mortgage, where they have you out in the Hemisphere, you're always going to find a rate that's probably going to be, I don't know, maybe 0.5% lower than us. In some cases, rates do vary from time to time, but we're never going to be the lowest. We're never going to be the highest, but you also won't have the availability of down payment assistance and the availability of the other programs. So we're going to be somewhere in the middle. You'll find us somewhere in the middle. Interest rates right now have gone up. A month and a half ago, interest rates had dropped 0.5 point.
I know.
And now they're back up again.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else have questions? In here, someone said, yes, I will share this presentation with you guys after. Does the energy fossil program cover electrical work?
It can. It can. What we do as part of the program is there's a concierge service. You may have a home and you may say, you know what, all I want to do is I want to upgrade my electrical because it's going to be more efficient, and I'm going to do solar panels, or I'm going to put in air conditioning. And when you start thinking that way, you want to think in a holistic way. And when they have the concierge service come out, the professional comes up, they're just not going to look at just your electrical. They're going to say, okay, yeah, you need an electrical panel, but you also, if you're going to go this way, then you need to do this, this, and this. And they're going to look at all the opportunities and options that are going to be available. So they're not just looking at one item. They want to make sure if you're going to receive the money, and it could be up to $100,000 depending on the situation. They want to make sure that they're going to maximize, they're going to increase the efficiency of your home, and just replacing the electrical isn't going to increase the efficiency of your home necessarily. It may stop a fire, but there are other parts of the construction that you will probably need to do in order to increase the efficiency of your home. And they won't just, for instance, they won't replace fossil fuel for fossil fuel, so they won't replace the tank. You have to go from get rid of the tank, get rid of the gas, and let's put in something that's going to be efficient, that's going to be cost saving, and it's going to be long term for you. So if it's just electrical work, it may not work, but we've got other options for that. We have a second mortgage for up to $50,000. So if it's just electrical work that you want to need, there are other options.
Awesome. Thank you. And are you able to, I can't remember if you said it earlier or not, are we able to combine your down payment program with others? So next we have the City of Boston coming to present. Are we able to combine MassHousing's down payment with, say, the City of Boston or the City of Everett, anyone else who has down payment assistance?
Of course you are. And the City of Boston is perfect. I'm doing a presentation this week, and one of the examples that I'm using is a young lady who purchased a home, and she used the City of Boston's down payment assistance in conjunction with ours. And there are many, many more communities out there that offer down payment assistance, and they can all be layered with MassHousing, which is what you won't find if you go to a Rocket Mortgage or one of these institutions that may give you a lower rate, but they're not going to have the connection to the great programs like the City of Boston, Federal Home Loan Bank, or MassHousing, or the City of Lynn, the City of Everett, and so on.
Correct. So as you guys can see, Massachusetts is being very intentional about their attempts at making homeownership possible for more residents, and making all of these strategic partnerships and really trying to think creatively and outside the box and removing some of the barriers, because now you can combine these, right? Whereas before it's like you have to pick one, so you have to go evaluate which one makes the most sense. Now you can actually combine these to see how much assistance you can get. So if there are no other questions, thank you so much, Angelo.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'll talk to you soon. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Laura, nice seeing you. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, guys, thank you. And now we have Miss Laura Siomo of the Boston Home Center. So she's with the City of Boston, coming to talk to us all about what they have to offer. For those of you who are thinking of purchasing in the City of Boston, I know you need to be either a Boston resident, recently displaced, I believe within the last 2 years, or working in the City of Boston. Not for the City of Boston, but in the City of Boston, to be eligible for a lot of these programs. So I will let Laura take over. Thank you. Wait, hold on. Let me unmute.
Yay.
There we go.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen in a moment, but I'm delighted to be here tonight. Thank you, Denisha, for inviting the City of Boston, Boston Home Center. And I didn't get to say hello to Angelo because I was muted, but happy to follow up to Angelo and Caitlin, because as Angelo and Denisha mentioned, we all work in partnership and we're all working toward the same goal. So yes, we want you to don't leave any money on the table. Get it all out there. It's like going to CVS and use all the different coupons you can. Like I do not, like I'm at Macy's, I'm getting my coupon, I'm getting this, I'm getting like put it all together. So that's what we want for you guys. So I'm going to share my screen and here we go. So as Denisha mentioned, I'm from the City of Boston, Boston Home Center. Can you guys all see my screen? Yay. and I am the Senior Program Manager for the Financial Assistance Program, which is the main thing we're going to talk about tonight, offering down payment assistance and closing cost assistance to first-time home buyers. We have a couple programs available. We'll talk about that. But I also want to just mention that we also have resources for homeowners. So either for yourself once you do purchase that home, or maybe friends or family that you know that could benefit from our services and helping us get the word out there. Because again, we don't want to leave money on the table. We work really hard to make sure we secure these funds and want to get them to folks to help our Boston residents and for folks who want to purchase in Boston. So we have HomeWorks Help and Senior Home Repair Program are programs that offer down payment, loans, 0% deferred payment loans for home repairs. So if you know anyone, or if, as Angelo mentioned, when you're out there house shopping, you end up purchasing a home that may need some repairs after you purchase, you can apply for these programs as the day you close. As soon as you have closed on that home and you own it, if you have a repair or an update that you'd like to do, you can apply for these programs. You can find information about all these programs on our website. I know it's a long day for everyone, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I just want to let you know what we have to offer. Also, we have our lead safe team. If you purchase a home that was built pre-1978 and perhaps is in need of some lead remediation or removal, or if you want to know what your responsibilities are as a landlord, things like that, our lead safe team can really help you from just providing information, guiding you about the whole, like what it means to have lead in a home. And if you do need lead removal, there is financial assistance available. We also have our foreclosure prevention and intervention counseling. This is the one program that we really don't want to be busy. And one of the ways that we try to work toward that happening is that we partner with folks like FEA, with MassHousing, with FHLB, with all the various participating lenders that we work with, to ensure that we all have the same goal in mind, to set you up for success as a home buyer. So something that Angelo mentioned, like you could go out there and get a mortgage with a lower credit score, but perhaps you're going to be putting yourself into a situation that is going to be tough to sustain. We don't want that to happen, but we also know that things happen. A lot of times with even our best planning, there are circumstances beyond our control. Pandemic was a perfect example of that. This is a completely private, confidential service, and our team really helps to mediate between financial institutions and home buyers and provide the resources to keep folks in their homes. So something to be aware of. And we also have our Neighborhood Housing Initiative Lottery program, which is an opportunity to buy I hate the term affordable because that is a relative term, but to buy a home lower than the market rate right now. And they're newly constructed single families, two families, and they are moderately priced. And the great thing about this, one application will get you into multiple lotteries. You file your application. You can do that online. I'll talk a little bit more about our application process. And then you are in that process for a year. So you complete it one time, and you would be contacted and notified when we do have lotteries. So now what we're all here for, down payment assistance. So we currently have 3 down payment assistance programs: first time buyer home financial assistance programs. And I'm going to first talk about the general eligibility for each of these programs. Much of what you've already heard from Caitlin and Angelo. First thing, for our programs, you need to be a first-time home buyer, which means you have not had an ownership interest in a residential property within the past 3 years. You also have to be a graduate of a CHAPA approved Homebuyer 101 class, like the class that you would take with Denisha with FAA. And you have to have your first mortgage pre-approval from one of our participating mortgage lenders. We have the links on our website to our partners who offer the Homebuyer 101 classes, FEA being one of them. And also we have a list of our participating mortgage lenders. Right now we have 22. And with those, we also indicate if they are a lender who offers MassHousing. You must be purchasing a condominium, a single family, a two family, or a three family, and the property that you're purchasing must be located in Boston, and you must be purchasing it with the intent of it being your primary residence. So this was a question someone brought up, which I thought was really good. For our programs, you do need to have a minimum contribution from your own funds. So this is exclusive of other assistance programs or gift funds. You need to have a minimum of 1.5% of the purchase price if you're buying a condo, a single family, or a two family, and at least 3% if you're purchasing a three family. So you do need to bring some money to the table, but we want you to be able to keep as much of your assets as possible to set you up for success. Your total household assets, and we'll talk about household in a bit, cannot be more than $75,000. What we include in this is gift funds. We include gifts of equity, which just means that say you have a family member who is selling you their home and they want to sell it to you below the appraised purchase price, the appraised price, then that difference between the appraisal price and your purchase price is going to be considered a gift of equity. So that could make you ineligible for the program if that exceeded, when combined with your assets, 75,000. We also count Roth IRAs, but we do not count your retirement accounts. So we're not going to count 401ks, things like that. And then the next slides, I'm going to go into a little more program information about each of the programs, but this is the basic. You need to be a first-time home buyer purchasing in Boston. You need to have a 101 home buyer certificate, and you need to have a pre-approval for a first mortgage with one of our participating lenders. So we had to come up with a name because we have the One Plus Boston. So this is our traditional financial assistance program, and this is the program with the most generous income limit, which is 135% AMI. I'm very excited because the income limits were recently updated by HUD. The city has not updated them yet, so I had to add this little note. We usually have them updated, approved, and published on our website around June. However, if you were a person applying now and you were slightly over this amount, we would check against the 2024 to make sure we did not determine you ineligible, and we would apply the 2024 income limits. We just don't have them available to us now. So for this program and all of our programs, you are going to be eligible for down payment assistance that will be based on the purchase price of your home, and you would receive 5% of the purchase price plus closing cost. Now, for this program, how much you can receive, the maximum award, is going to be determined by your household income. So if your household income is less than 100% AMI, and I have those numbers in a coming slide, then you could receive a maximum assistance of $50,000. Our funds are a grant. They do not need to be paid back. There's no lien on your property, and it is not a loan. That was, as Denisha mentioned, we're always trying to think outside the box and keep our sort of finger on the pulse of what's going on in the market so we can continue to identify the obstacles and the barriers and eliminate them. This one was a change that we instituted about a year and a half ago now, to maybe it was 2 years. Our funds used to be a loan. And there was also an asset needs test, but we were really excited when we were able to do away with that. This is basically free money, and who doesn't love free money? So if you would be able to receive 5% of the purchase price plus closing costs up to $50,000. If your household area median income is above 100, but still below 135, that maximum amount you could receive is $35,000. So, and these are the income limits from 2023. They have increased slightly, and unfortunately, I apologize, I don't have those numbers yet. Again, this is another, just another little footnote. If you secure a property in Alston or Brighton, 02134 or 02135, that maximum award amount goes away, and regardless of your household income, as long as you're under the 135%, you would be eligible for a maximum award of $50,000. And this is made possible through a funding resource for us that was made possible with funding from the development of Alston Yards. So something that our electeds lobbied for to help benefit folks and bring people into the community. With this program, you can currently access this application online by going to our website. There's a link. You just start the application, you submit all your documents, and you just need to know that you have your Homebuyer 101 certificate and your lender pre-approval. Now, the good thing from one of our participating lenders, the nice thing about this is you do not have to have already secured a property. And that was another change we made. Years ago, you had to already have an accepted offer or a purchase and sale agreement. So as soon as you are ready to start kind of getting out there and shopping, we encourage you to apply for the assistance. Because that way we can give you an idea of how much we can enhance your buying power with our assistance. And it just gives you another pre-qualification and maybe open up some opportunities for homes that maybe you wouldn't consider. So, and the great thing I love about this Alston Brighton is that there's no additional application or anything needed from you, the buyer, or your lender. If you secure a property, if you have an accepted offer, and we see that it's Alston Brighton, we're automatically going to apply this. And the nice thing is when you're applying for our program, you've already worked with your lender, and almost all of the documents that we're requesting are things that you more than likely would have already provided your lender. I know it gets to be a lot. It can seem like a lot, and it's daunting, but it is well worth it. One point someone made this, one of my colleagues years ago made a point of pointing out that if you thought about the hours, because I was overwhelmed by an application checklist that I needed to get all this, and I was concerned. And if you think about the time that you have to invest and the money that you can seem to benefit, it's a really good return. And we have a small team. We have 4 program managers and myself. Once you apply, you would be assigned a program manager who will work closely with you through the whole process. So please don't be discouraged by additional paperwork or, anything like that. If you prefer not to do things online, we can certainly provide a paper application or a PDF application. As Denisha said, we want to remove as many barriers as possible. So our next program that we have is our One Plus Boston Financial Assistance Program. And this program is offered in conjunction with MassHousing Partnership, the One Plus Boston Mortgage. And this program is assistance that is specifically associated with your One Plus Boston Mortgage. So with this, you would also receive a grant of 5% of the purchase price for down payment assistance plus closing costs, regardless of property type. And in addition, you're going to receive an additional 1% or 2% discount to your interest rate. And if you qualify for the One Plus Boston Mortgage, and I'll talk about the eligibility requirements, this is more than likely going to be the best mortgage product out there for you. And then you are going to get an additional discount to whatever the one mortgage rate is at that point. And that's going to be determined by your AMI. If you are, and I'll get into that in the next slide, if you are at 80% and below, you would get a 2% rate discount. And this is an enhancement that we just recently adopted in response to the rising interest rates. It used to be 0.5% and 1%. And I always encourage people, as much as I would love to share these slides, we never do, because we're constantly trying to update our programs, and we don't want anyone to have information that's outdated or they're missing out on something. So your interest rate discount is subsidized by the city. So we pay for that. Your down payment assistance, closing cost, and your interest rate subsidy, which is what we pay to buy down that interest rate discount, cannot exceed $75,000. You don't really need to worry about that. Your lender and your BHC program manager will take care of that. But this is really going to help you maximize your purchasing power. And as Caitlin and Angelo both said, our funds, and I started out with, can be used with every other program. We had someone close, I think a couple days ago. They had FHLB Equity Builder, they had they had Maha Stash, and they had one other, and then they had our assistance. So they had close to $100,000 in assistance to help them get into this home. So it's really great when all of these programs can be used together. And working with our lenders, they are going to, work with you to make sure, again, that you're not leaving any money on the table. So this program has a maximum household income limit of 100% AMI. I am happy to report these are the updated income limits as of April 15th. So you can see for a one-person household, the income limit is $114,250. When we talk about household for all of our programs, we are counting in your household everyone who is currently part of your household and will be intended to live with you in the property you purchase, or they may not be part of your household now, but you plan that they will be part of your household. So say, for example, there's a lot of examples. So they may not be a co-buyer, they may not be on your mortgage, but if they are a member of your household, we count their income and their assets. And if you have more questions about that, we can always go into that, because that can get a little tricky. If you have a roommate right now that you're like, I'm not going to pay rent, I'm not going to be a roommate, I'm going to buy a home, that doesn't count, because they're not going to move in to your house with you. If you're buying a two-family and you're saying you're going to live in one unit and you're going to rent the other, and maybe you already know someone that you would want to rent that to, we're not counting them. They're not part of your household, just to kind of give you an idea. And that can be a real tricky thing. We count children, which is great because that helps you get up there towards the end. Most children, I'm thinking these days, are not really contributing to that income limit. So that's a good thing. And also unborn children count. So there may be a case when you might not want to share. Yes, that's HUD guidelines. I know. I love that look of Nisha. So we can't ask, obviously, but you might want to share with your lender. I know cases where lenders knew before family members because it helped, it helped if you are expecting. Anyway, so for this program, and Denisha kind of touched on this before, you need to be purchasing a home in Boston. To be eligible for this, you need to either be a current City of Boston resident or currently working in the City of Boston, and that is as your primary job. If you have a second job that you're working in Boston, that's not going to make you eligible. Or if you were a City of Boston resident in the past 2 years, and all of that, we will work with you on the documentation that we require. That's, under the assumption that you were a City of Boston resident in the past 2 years, but because of the cost of rent and everything, you decided to move. And I'm telling you, I live in Boston naturally, could not afford to live in Boston if I didn't buy my house over 30 years ago. So I feel you. My children are looking for houses right now. They can't afford to buy in Boston. Um, so, and they're not eligible for this because I work for the city. Otherwise, they could be able to. But you must meet all of the program requirements for the mortgage. And that's why for this program, you're not going to start your financial assistance application online as with the other program. You're going to first meet with that One Plus Boston participating lender, and they are going to confirm that you meet all of the eligibility requirements, the income and asset. And then we receive notification from MassHousing Partnership and your lender that they believe you're eligible for the mortgage, and then we will send you the link to access the application, the One Plus Boston financial assistance. So that's a little different piece. This program, the Boston Housing Authority Homeownership Program, has a maximum household income limit of 135 AMI, and it follows all of the other financial eligibility requirements we talked about: assets, household size, all of that. The difference with this is you need to first start with the Boston Housing Authority and BHA and receive a referral from them for participation in the program. So if you're currently a BHA voucher holder, you would first start with them. And this program has been very successful, and I know we love it. And you can receive with this program, the 5% goes away. The 5% number goes away. You are eligible for a grant, again, up to $75,000 for down payment, closing costs, and interest rate subsidies if applicable. So that would be up to your lender to structure your loan in a way that you maximize our benefit and the benefit. And we work closely with the lenders so that if we see an application come through and we see a loan and it's like, with that mortgage amount, like Denisha was saying, like you don't want to maybe count on a certain assistance program, and you might not find out that the funds are guaranteed for you until you've secured your property and you're getting ready to close. We work with your lender to make sure they lower that first mortgage amount so that we don't have to cut down the down payment assistance we give you, because with our program you can't get cash back at closing. So if you put in, you're only required to put in 1.5%. If you put in 3% of your own money with your deposit, which you're more than welcome to do. Some people have the assets and they want to do that to increase the cost, the purchasing power. A lot of brokers may encourage you to do that, to have your offer be more appealing to the seller. But it's important to know that we cannot return those funds to you. In that instance, it would be important, and we would ask you to work with your lender to restructure your loan, which just means lowering your mortgage so that your monthly payment is less. We also talked about the deed restricted properties. You can use all of our funds toward any type of purchase. It doesn't have to be, we love when you can, again, put it all together. So, if only TJ Maxx had coupons. Sorry. You can go to Metro List. You can, use the NHI lottery and sign up here, and you can find and get notifications for all the income restricted housing. If you've already gone through the HB 101 with Denisha, I'm sure you already know about this, but we want to make sure to put it in there. And thankfully my team is like totally on the ball and has got me up to speed with QR codes, because I would have felt really left out if we had not added that. Now this map, I have to say, I love this map and I refuse to take it out. And maybe I don't know if a lot of you are Boston natives. I was not. And when I moved here, I learned very quickly about neighborhood pride, and I love it. But, my kids went to school in Boston. They had friends from all over the city. And I did not know, my husband grew up in Brighton, and I quickly learned that Allston and Brighton, you don't call someone from Allston, someone from Brighton, and vice versa. South Boston, Charleston, Charlestown. I learned all about that, and I love the neighborhood pride. This is also important because I think my first day and my director's first day, we were given an application to review, and I didn't look at the address. They weren't even purchasing in Boston, but I didn't recognize the zip. I didn't know that it wasn't Boston. But this is important. These are the neighborhoods that we serve. Any neighborhood in Boston. If you're in doubt, you can always Google the zip code or see who the mayor is. If it's Mayor Michelle Wu, you know that we can offer you assistance. Sometimes the confusion comes in because with, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Denisha, I think it's Chelsea, Everett, and Revere that are part of Suffolk County. So that can be confusing to people, and it's confusing to me. So just to do like a little recap, I know it's late and you guys have been great. General eligibility, you have to be a first-time home buyer, have your home buyer 101 class, you have to have your first mortgage pre-approval from one of our participating mortgage lenders. We have 22. You can access their information on the website with a person and a phone number. So you're not going to get lost in space and have to connect through 5 different numbers to get a person. And your property you're purchasing must be in Boston, must be your primary residence, condo, single family, 2 family, 3 family. You have to contribute a minimum from your own funds, which we talked about, and your total household assets, including everybody in your household, cannot be more than $75,000. So, and I'm trying to go quick. And there's our QR code. I'm so proud of that. I will also put our email address in the chat. It says 1 Plus, but if you're like, well, I don't think I qualify for 1 Plus, that's okay. That's just an email address they assign to the FAP unit, and we all manage it. You can ask any FAP question or any question related to any of our other programs, and we'll direct you to a person who can help you. So yay. So thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I really appreciate everybody's time, and I hope it's a lot of information. I really hope to get to work with you guys all and purchase your home.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. So, thank you guys for sticking with us. This was a lot of information. It is going to be downloaded from Zoom and uploaded onto YouTube, and I will send out an email to you guys when it goes live, because I think you will probably watch it again and take notes. But the moral of the story is there's a lot of money out there, and I would love for you to leverage it and utilize it. So please, please, please take advantage. You guys have any?
I see a couple questions. I'm excited. I love questions. And if you have questions, because for me, I need to, as Denisha said, it's a lot of information. I need things to like percolate, and then I have questions. Are we able to combine? Yes, combine everything. Annette, what happens if your company is located in Boston, but you work in Braintree? That's a really good question, Annette. We need to know. That's a great question. Annette said, what happens if your company is located in Boston, but you work in Braintree and your check comes from Boston? And I love your transparency. You would not be eligible. We need to verify that your work site is in Boston. But that's a great question. And it says daughter's 22 and away and does not have income. Okay. Would there be a no? Okay. And it looks like, Denisha, did you answer that question?
I believe.
What if they have no income or assets until they get on their feet? My daughter and away and does not have income. Then we would just do a no income, no asset affidavit. If you have a adult child, I mean, because the rents are so high, like I encouraged my kids to come home when they graduated school or to stay and save their money. If you have an adult child who is a full-time student, we are only going, and they are part of your household, and even if they work, we are only going to count $450 of annual income. And that is per HUD guidelines. And then let's see, D, oops, oh, I scrolled too fast. D has been in the NHI program for a year. So how often does one need to update their pre-approval? How often are you required to provide a pre-approval for each property type that you may be interested in? That's a great question. So I believe your application is good for a year. So you could contact them. I can't say for certain, but I do believe that they will contact you to ask if you want to stay in the lottery once you are approaching your expiration date. I can't say for sure. And you are basically at that point just updating your income and assets. And you do need, I don't know that you need a pre-approval. I don't think you need one for each property type. What's more important about the property type is your household size, because they're going to contact you. Like if it's a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom, there may be some properties that based on your household size are not suited to you or that you're not eligible for, or your income. Some properties are going to be 80% AMI, some are going to be 100% AMI. Those are all great questions, and I am sorry that I don't have exact answers, but you can certainly email me and I will send that to my colleague who runs that program. Or you can always call us. I'm always saying email and everything, but everybody can call. Okay, yay. Are there any other questions, or Denisha, do you have any? I'm so thankful to be here tonight, and I appreciate your patience as the one night, I guess the Celtics are playing tonight, so I got stuck in traffic, which I
That is
didn't plan
awesome.
for.
Okay, no, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Guys, so you learned about Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston. So that is, let's start tallying these up here. I wrote down. So we have up to $50,000 from Federal Home Loan Bank. From MassHousing, depending on where you fall, you have another $30,000. And with the city of Boston, you have another up to $50,000, correct? Most of those, and if you, all three of those, if you were eligible, could be combined. So that is possible. I have a young lady who closed on an affordable deed restricted property. So with the city of Boston, she was supposed to close last year. She ended up closing this year, I think in February. And she got over $130,000 in down payment assistance, just to let you know what's possible. So she was able to combine the stash program with MAHA, the BHA program, and then she was also part of the FSS program. So they did her, she had about another $20,000 with them. So combining all of the different programs, she was able to have over $130,000 in down payment assistance. So it is possible. We just have to strategize and make sure we are ready. Because again, for all these programs, there are requirements, right? You do need to have the minimum credit score. So they want a 640 credit score. That's most lenders. So make sure you get to that 640. If you don't have the 640, buckle down. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. If I can get about 10 more minutes of you guys' time, in terms of the different resources we have available for you. So that we can help you make sure you have the credit score, make sure your debt to income ratio is where it needs to be, because that's really important as well. If you have too much debt, you're going to get a lower pre-approval, which means you may or may not be able to buy the house that you want, right? So there are a lot of things that go into buying the house that we want you guys to pay attention to. These dual screens just get me. If you guys don't have any more questions for Laura, I don't want to keep her. You were free to leave, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Guys, I have a couple more to go over with you, and then we'll be done. If I can just find, oh, there we go. Let me pull up mine. Thank you, Laura. I don't think anyone else has questions. I am going to post this online so you guys can rewatch. Please share with your friends and family who you think are might be interested in purchasing a home, because we need to put a plan together and get started now. Do you guys see my screen? Oh, and I lost the chat box with that. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Do you guys see my screen? Someone say yes in the chat just so I can see now, please. Boom. Thank you. Okay. So a great website that I believe goes live this week, if it has not already, in terms of all of the resources, is My Mass Home. So if you visit mymasshome.org, I pull down the tab for you guys to see. They wanted to make it kind of a one-stop shop if you're thinking of purchasing a home throughout Massachusetts. So here's where you can find the classes, the home buyer classes that you need to take, or any resources that you might need, down payment assistance that's available statewide. So they're uploading it and updating it frequently, and any affordable loan products. So this is a great website, mymasshome.org, for you guys to utilize to find or simplify that process of identifying down payment programs. I just wanted to go through, I'm not talking about each one, but trying to show you what's out there. So depending on where you want to buy, there's down payment assistance, right? There are a lot of towns, they understand it's really difficult for people to purchase, and they wanted to make it affordable. So they are providing their own down payment assistance, just like the city of Boston. So we have Brockton's giving you up to $15,000. Fall River and New Bedford's giving you $10,000. Springfield is up to $4,000. The city of Lawrence is up to $25,000. And then someone asked before, if you're looking to buy in Malden, Medford, Arlington, Melrose, Chelsea, Everett, Revere, Winthrop, they're also giving you up to $7,500. Everett just increased that last month. So Everett actually just increased their down payment assistance to $20,000, but you need to be an Everett resident. So similar to the city of Boston, you need to be a resident of Everett to qualify or to be eligible for their down payment assistance. My whole screen just froze on me. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. City of Cambridge, because it is ridiculously expensive to live in Cambridge, they have up to 65% of the purchase price. You need to be making below 80% of the area median income to qualify for that program, but they are significantly subsidizing the cost to help you to help make it affordable for you to purchase there. Worcester has down payment. The city of Andover has down payment assistance. So I just want to show you guys that there's money out there, right? If you know where you want to live, go on to My Mass Home and look up that city or that town and see what they have available for you, okay? You might be surprised, and many towns are adding them every day. So like I said, Everett increased theirs last month to $20,000 in down payment assistance. And we talked about it a little while ago, the BHA program. So if you're with Boston Housing Authority, they're giving their residents $75,000 to purchase a home. That is to purchase in Boston, though, so that is limited. And then if you are a first generation buyer, so you are the first of your parents, so neither one of your parents own a home, then you are eligible for the STASH program with the Massachusetts Affordable Housing Alliance. And what that is kind of a savings match. So if you save $2,000, they will match it up to $40,000 if you're buying in the city of Boston, and up to $20,000 if you're buying anywhere outside of Boston. So that's another pocket of funds that you can leverage, that you can combine with other down payment programs that are available. Okay, so that is exclusive to those who are first generation, first time home buyers. So you are the first of your parents, or your parents didn't own, and you have not owned a home before, then you are eligible for that program as well. All of these programs have the same requirements where they want you to have that 640 minimum credit score. I wanted to make you guys aware. We're trying to create more support for buyers to help you guys through the process, because we know home ownership, it can be stressful, especially if you're not sure what the process looks like. So I'm going to put in the chat, we started a online group to support you guys, where people get to ask questions. We post videos, we post tasks in there. Right now, we have a savings challenge going on to help people save for down payment. So I'm going to put a bunch of links in the chat because it's just easier to send them all at the same time. For you to join our online home buyer group. Again, it's a Facebook group where you can engage with other people who are on a similar journey with you. Any resources, we tend to share it in there. I hate spam, so I don't send a lot of emails through Financial Education Associates. We do one newsletter a month, but there may be resources that I want to share with people beyond that. So we use this platform to share more frequently content and resources with you. Our savings challenge, we encourage you guys to join. So if you want help and guidance in terms of saving, we have a little workbook that we created for you guys to utilize. We encourage you to join. We actually meet every first and third Monday of the month. It's not mandatory for you to attend, but it is helpful. What we want to create is a community of accountability, right? To make it where if you're not currently looking at your finances and you're not monitoring your spending, once a month on the first Monday, you know that you're going to come together with us and we're going to be all of us, everyone online, looking at our budgets and looking at how did we spend last month? How much did we save? What went wrong? What went right? To make sure that we are getting into the habit of monitoring and managing our finances. So that is what I'm trying to create with you guys, is that sense of accountability and community where it's like, guess what we're doing? We're looking at our finances and we're going to make sure it's great. Because if you're trying to buy a home, you need to know where your money is going. So we want to help you along in that journey, okay? And try to make it fun ever so often. So we encourage you to join our online group. And then we meet again, like I said, the first Monday is for budgeting and saving strategies. The third Monday is all about credit. So if you know you struggle with your credit and you need to improve your credit, join us on the third Mondays. And then on the first one is where we do all about budgeting and saving strategies, okay? If you have not taken your first-time homebuyers class, we encourage you to join us at Financial Education Associates. Our website is money-classes.com. You can take your first-time homebuyers class with us. What makes us a little bit different from everyone else, we don't have guest speakers. So some classes or some programs, they may have an attorney come in or a lender come in or an agent come in. The reason why we don't do that is because we actually want it to be unbiased, right? We want to give you the facts, give you the information, so that now we're going to help you interview these people so that you figure out who do you want to work with, who's best fit for you, as opposed to someone coming in and you're like, oh, I like their personality or they presented really well. I want to work with them, but they may not be the greatest person or the best suited, right? So we keep it so that it's unbiased. You're just getting the facts so that now you can go out and interview the people who you want to be on your team. Once you graduate from our program, you can start scheduling your counseling sessions and we meet one-on-one and help you figure out whatever your questions are, right? Whatever those are, whether it's your budget or what programs are available, what are your options, we help you figure it out. I had a young lady, she wanted to buy in Massachusetts, and after sitting down and figuring it out, she's like, well, I was thinking of moving to Florida. Now she's about to go buy in Florida because she's like, I don't think I want to be here anymore. I work remote. I don't need to stay here. I'm gone. So again, we help you figure it all out to make sure that you are a successful home buyer. Okay. So thank you guys. I'm going to read the chat to see if you have any questions. I will post this video, if not tonight, by tomorrow, because I'm starting to lose my voice. I'm recovering from a cold. But you guys, I will send an email so you know when it goes live. If I did the home buyers course, does my husband need to do it to start the process? It depends. So some lenders require both of you, but sometimes they don't. If he's going to be on the mortgage, so if he's going to actually be on the mortgage with you, then he should take the class with you. Okay. How much is the class? The class is $30. So when it's through Eventbrite, so with their fees, it comes up to like, I think $33.75 total for the class, but it's $30 for the course and it's valid for 3 years. So once you take this class, you are eligible for down payment assistance, first-time home buyer programs, all that they have to offer for the next 3 years. And why we built in kind of the accountability group and the extra supports is I want to make sure you guys can buy within those 3 years. Okay. I think that's everything. Perfect. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. You could have been anywhere else and it's almost 8 o'clock and you're still here. So I appreciate you guys joining us. If you have friends, family, anyone who you know should be on the path to homeownership, I encourage you to have them take our class, join our Facebook group so that, again, we're all coming together with the same goal to buy a house, right? to make sure that you guys are prepared. And eventually we'll have, if agents are selling anything off market, we can have them kind of try to post those in there as well. But for now, I want to make sure your finances are where they need to be, because you could want to buy a house, but if you have a 500 credit score and too much debt, you're not buying a house. I want to make sure we turn that around and help as many people become first-time home buyers and onto your next, right, your next home. So you buy your first home, and then we strategize on what does that look like for wealth building for you and your family. Thank you guys. Have a good night.